Every year, millions of adults over the age of 60 lose at least one tooth. What's alarming is that most of these cases aren't caused by cavities, but by gums that are slowly receding little by little. No pain, no clear warning signs. And by the time you start feeling sensitivity, by the time you notice your tooth roots becoming exposed, that process has already been happening for a long time. I've spoken with many people who believe that brushing more carefully or using a better mouthwash is enough to keep their gums healthy. But the truth is, if that were all it took, then why do more than 70% of older adults still experience some level of gum recession? What very few people tell you is this: your gums don't weaken simply because of age. They recede when your body can no longer maintain and rebuild their structure, and this process happens so gradually that you don't notice it until the damage is already visible. But here's the part you need to hear. This process is not irreversible. If you understand the real cause and target the right factors, your body can still recover, even if you're over 60. In this video, I'm going to share 7 methods that can help support gum restoration, ranked from the least effective to the most powerful. And the final one is something many people overlook, yet it can create a noticeable difference in just a few weeks. But before we go into each method, you need to understand one important thing: what's really happening beneath your gums every single day. Most people believe gum recession happens because they haven't taken good enough care of their oral hygiene. They brush harder, use more mouthwash, even buy expensive toothpaste. Yet, the condition doesn't stop. If you've tried these things and still haven't seen improvement, then the problem isn't that you're not doing enough. It's that you're focusing on the wrong place. Gum recession doesn't start with your toothbrush. It starts from within. As your body gradually loses its ability to produce collagen, as your jawbone begins to lose density, and as low-level inflammation goes unchecked, your gums lose their support and slowly begin to pull away. This is a biological process, not just a hygiene issue. Think of your gums like the soil surrounding the base of a tree. You can water it every day, but if the soil underneath is dry and lacking nutrients, the tree will still weaken over time. In the same way, if your body no longer has the raw materials needed to maintain gum structure, then no matter how well you care for the surface, the decline will continue. This is the most important thing you need to understand before moving on. If you want to keep your gums, you can't just care for the surface, you have to support them from within. To understand why your gums can recover or continue to decline, you need to look at their true structure. Your gums are not just a simple layer of skin. They are living tissue, supported and stabilized by 3 key factors: collagen, the jawbone, and repair cells. Collagen acts like anchor fibers, holding your gums tightly against your teeth. As collagen levels gradually decrease with age, these anchors weaken and the gums begin to pull back. Beneath that is the jawbone, the foundation that supports the entire structure. If the bone loses density over time, the gums no longer have a solid base to hold onto. And finally, there are the repair cells, often called fibroblasts. These are the workers responsible for rebuilding tissue. When their activity slows down, the repair process nearly comes to a halt. What's important is this: these 3 factors do not work independently. They depend on each other. If one weakens, the entire system begins to lose balance. That's why you can see your gums getting worse even when you're taking consistent care of them. But once you understand this mechanism, you'll realize something important. If you want to improve your gums, you need to target these core factors directly. And in the next section, I'll walk you through 7 specific methods, starting from the most basic all the way to the ones that can create truly noticeable results. Number 7. Closing the gap at night. There's a window of time most people never think about when it comes to gum health: the 6 to 8 hours you spend sleeping. And during that time, your gums may be taking on more damage than you realize. If you breathe through your mouth while you sleep, which is very common in older adults, your gums dry out overnight. Saliva is your mouth's natural defense system. It keeps tissues hydrated, helps neutralize bacteria, and delivers essential minerals to your gums. When that protection disappears, your gums become more vulnerable. Bacteria multiply more quickly, and low-grade inflammation can develop without you noticing. And it doesn't stop there. Many people grind their teeth or clench their jaw at night without even being aware of it. This repeated pressure puts stress on the gum tissue, gradually weakening the connective structure over time. You might take great care of your mouth during the day, but if those 6 to 8 hours at night are neglected, much of that effort can be undone. So the goal at this stage isn't to regrow your gums, it's to stop the ongoing damage. Simple changes like training yourself to breathe through your nose while sleeping, keeping your mouth hydrated, or using appropriate supportive tools can help protect your gums throughout the night. However, it's important to understand, this is just the foundation. It's like sealing a leak before trying to fill a container. If you skip this step, everything that comes after will be less effective. But on its own, it's still not enough to restore your gums. Number 6. Antibacterial rinses. This is something almost everyone turns to when they have gum issues, rinsing with salt water or antibacterial solutions. And yes, it does help, but not in the way most people think. These rinses reduce the number of bacteria in your mouth, soothe inflamed areas, and make your gums look less red and less prone to bleeding. The relief comes quickly, which is why many people assume their gums are getting better. But in reality, you're only addressing the surface. The problem is this. These active ingredients only stay in contact with your gums for a few seconds before being rinsed away. That short exposure isn't enough to trigger tissue regeneration or rebuild the structure underneath. In other words, you're cleaning the environment, but not supplying the materials needed to repair what's been lost. In fact, if you use alcohol-based mouthwashes too frequently, you may end up drying out your gums, disrupting their natural protective barrier and making sensitivity worse over time. The key point to remember is this: reducing inflammation is not the same as restoring tissue. Your gums may look calmer, but that doesn't mean they're reattaching or becoming stronger. So think of this step as supportive, a way to keep your oral environment clean, not a primary solution. And once you understand that, you're ready to move on to methods that actually begin to impact the structure of your gums. Number 5. Green tea extract, matcha. From here, we move into methods that don't just clean. They begin to interfere with the breakdown of your gums. Green tea, especially in matcha form, contains a well-studied compound called EGCG. This compound can inhibit the enzymes that are quietly breaking down collagen in your gum tissue. In other words, if earlier you were only dealing with the aftermath, at this stage you're starting to block the process that causes your gums to keep weakening. When the rate of collagen breakdown slows down, your gums have a better chance of maintaining their current structure. But there's a common misunderstanding. Many people drink green tea every day and think that's enough. In reality, when you drink it, these active compounds barely come into direct contact with your gums long enough to make a noticeable difference. The real benefit comes from direct contact over sufficient time. A simple approach is to mix matcha powder with a small amount of water to form a paste. Then gently apply it to the areas of your gums that need support for a few minutes before rinsing. This allows the active compounds to stay in place longer instead of being washed away immediately. However, it's important to understand this method mainly helps protect what you still have, rather than rebuild what's already been lost. It's a step forward compared to earlier solutions, but it still doesn't address the root of the recovery process. And that's why, in the next steps, we'll go deeper, not just slowing things down, but beginning to activate real regeneration. Number 4. Aloe Vera combined with vitamin E. This is a step many people overlook because it seems too simple. But that simplicity actually hides a very important mechanism, activating the regeneration of gum tissue. Aloe vera doesn't just soothe, it contains compounds that help stimulate the activity of repair cells, the workers responsible for rebuilding collagen. When these cells are activated, the recovery process is no longer stalled like before. Your gums begin to have the conditions needed to thicken and become more stable. When combined with vitamin E, this effect is taken a step further. Vitamin E acts as a protective layer, helping newly formed tissue resist damage from surrounding factors. This is especially important because new gum tissue is very sensitive in its early stages. The way to use it is simple. After cleaning your teeth at night, apply a small amount of aloe vera mixed with a few drops of vitamin E, then gently spread it along your gum line. Leave it on overnight so the active compounds have enough time to work. Many people begin to notice reduced sensitivity within a few days and less bleeding after about 1 to 2 weeks. However, it's important to understand this is the first step that truly switches on the regeneration process. But the speed and extent of recovery still depend on deeper factors inside the body. And that's exactly why the next step focuses on something most people never think about: how long these active compounds stay in contact with your gums. Number 3, hyaluronic acid. This is where many people are surprised. Using the right product isn't enough. You also have to keep it in contact with your gums long enough. Most earlier methods, from rinsing to applying and washing off, fall short for one simple reason: the contact time is too short. Hyaluronic acid addresses this problem directly. When applied to the gums, it forms a thin, moist, adhesive layer. This layer not only protects the gum tissue from external irritation, but also holds active compounds in place for hours instead of just seconds. And it's that extended contact time that allows repair cells to begin working effectively. Here's something important. Hyaluronic acid is already naturally present in your gum tissue. It acts like a guiding framework, helping cells know where to move and where to rebuild. When you apply it externally, you're reinforcing that guidance system, creating the conditions for new tissue to form in a more organized and stable way. The way to use it is straightforward. After brushing your teeth at night, apply a thin layer along your gum line. Then avoid eating, drinking, or rinsing. Leave it undisturbed overnight. This is a critical window when your body is focused on repair. Many people notice less irritation within a few days and a gradual reduction in the feeling of exposed roots after a few weeks. But even with these improvements, you're still working mainly at the level of soft tissue. To go further and create a solid foundation for your gums to reattach, you need to address what lies deeper beneath, the jawbone. And that's where the next step truly makes a difference. Number 2, vitamin K2 combined with D3. This is a step many people overlook because they only focus on what they can see, the gums on the surface. But if you want your gums to reattach in a stable way, you have to address the foundation underneath, the jawbone. Remember this: your gums don't stand on their own. They follow the bone. As the jawbone gradually loses density, your gums lose their support and begin to recede. You can take excellent care of the surface, but if the foundation is weakening, everything above it will continue to decline. Vitamin D3 helps your body absorb calcium more effectively, but D3 alone isn't enough. Without vitamin K2, that calcium may not be directed to where it's actually needed. K2 acts like a guide, helping move calcium into your bones, instead of allowing it to end up in places it shouldn't. When these two work together, your body can begin improving bone density over time, and as the bone becomes more stable, your gums finally have a solid base to hold on to again. This isn't a change that happens in a few days, but it's a foundation that none of the earlier steps can replace. How you use it matters. It should be taken with a meal that contains fat to improve absorption, and it needs to be used consistently over several weeks. Many people start to feel their gums becoming firmer after about a month, with more noticeable changes after a few months. The key point is this. This step builds the foundation. And once that foundation is strong, you can truly accelerate the regeneration process in a more effective way. And that brings us to the final step, where everything begins to come together to create the most noticeable results. Number 1. Collagen peptides combined with CoQ10. This is the step that creates the most noticeable difference because it directly targets the two things your gums are lacking: the raw materials to rebuild tissue and the energy needed for that process to happen. As you know, your gums are largely made of collagen, but over time, your body produces less of it, while the need for repair continues to increase. When you supplement with collagen peptides, your body breaks them down into amino acids, the building blocks used to rebuild gum tissue. This helps ensure the repair process is no longer limited by a lack of materials. However, having the materials alone isn't enough. Repair cells need energy to function, and that's where CoQ10 comes in, especially in its ubiquinol form, which your body can use immediately. You can think of it this way. Collagen is the material, and CoQ10 is the power source. Without one or the other, the repair process slows down or becomes inefficient. When used together correctly, these two elements can accelerate tissue repair, support thicker gums, reduce sensitivity, and improve attachment over time. Many people begin to notice changes within just a few days, such as reduced sensitivity, and after a few weeks, they see their gums becoming noticeably firmer. How you use them also matters. Collagen is best taken in the morning on a relatively empty stomach for better absorption, and CoQ10 should be used at an appropriate dose. Consistency is the key factor here. This is not an instant fix, but it is a solution that addresses the root of the problem. When you provide both the necessary building materials and the energy your cells need, your body begins to do what it was designed to do: repair itself. And when you combine this step with everything you've done before, you're not just slowing the decline, you're actively reversing it. You might be on the right track, but if you do it the wrong way, results won't come. Or worse, you could slow down the recovery process. The first mistake is taking collagen alongside a high-protein meal. In that case, amino acids have to compete for absorption, and the portion available for your gums is significantly reduced. A small change in timing can make a big difference. The second mistake is using alcohol-based mouthwash right after your evening gum care routine. Alcohol doesn't just dry out the tissue, it also washes away the active compounds you've just applied, almost undoing all your previous effort. The third mistake is expecting results too quickly. When people don't see changes after a few days, they give up. But you need to remember, this is a tissue regeneration process, not symptom masking. It takes time for your body to actually rebuild the structure from within. And finally, choosing the wrong products, ones filled with additives, sugars, or artificial flavorings, can significantly reduce effectiveness without you even realizing it. Understanding and avoiding these mistakes doesn't just save you time, it ensures that what you're doing actually works. And to give you a clearer picture of what to expect, let's look at how this process typically unfolds over time. When you apply the right approach and stay consistent, your body responds in clear stages, not instantly, but not unpredictably either. In the first 3 to 5 days, many people begin to notice a slight reduction in sensitivity, especially when drinking cold water or eating harder foods. This is a sign that irritation is starting to come under control. After about 7 to 10 days, bleeding during brushing usually begins to decrease. The gums appear less swollen, and that familiar discomfort starts to ease. From week 2 to week 4, you may feel that your gums are firmer to the touch. Some people also notice that exposed areas of the tooth become less sensitive than before. And from week 6 onward, if you stay consistent, the changes can become more visible. The gum line looks more stable, and your overall oral comfort improves. The important thing to remember is this. Every body responds at a different pace, but if you're moving in the right direction, you'll continue to notice signs of improvement, step by step. And when you look back at the entire process, you'll realize one key truth. The issue isn't whether recovery is possible, it's whether you're taking the right approach. Your gums don't disappear simply because you're getting older. They change when your body no longer has what it needs to maintain and repair them. Once you understand that, you stop trying to cover up symptoms and start supporting your body the right way, from the inside out. The good news is, your body still has the ability to recover. Not perfectly overnight, but enough to create a real noticeable difference if you're on the right path and stay consistent. You don't need to do everything at once. Start simple with a 30-day challenge. Each morning, focus on providing the right nutrients to support regeneration. Each evening, spend a few minutes caring for your gums in a way that keeps active compounds in place long enough to work. Throughout the process, pay attention to small changes, sensitivity, bleeding, and how firm your gums feel. If you can, take a photo today and another after 30 days. You'll see a difference you may not have thought possible. And if you truly give it a try, come back and share your experience. I'd really like to hear what's changed for you. If this helped you understand your situation more clearly, leave a comment below. And if you want more simple, practical guidance you can actually apply, you can follow the channel so you don't miss what's coming next. Take care of your body the right way, and it will respond.